Hello and welcome to another episode of Raw Chatter. Yes, folks, we are into February and January is over and done with, one of the longest, darkest, coldest months, when I think for a lot of people it's a bit of a struggle. But now in February, are you starting to notice it's getting lighter that little bit earlier, and it's not getting dark quite as late as it was? And already some of you, depending on where you live, are starting to see some of the flowers already coming through. And that means that the seasons are changing, spring is on its way, which I think for all of us helps us to feel a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more energized, and a little bit more excited about what this year has to bring after the first few weeks, which are always a little bit meh after Christmas and all of the get-togethers, and then the reality sets in of we're back in routines, etc., etc. Now, bear with me on this episode because I have been fighting off a virus. I haven't, my body has. Right, I have been absolutely fine with it in terms of how I've been focusing on it and thinking about it, in that I've been letting my body do its thing, because that is what the body is designed to do. And it does mean that I will have to keep drinking because it's affecting my throat and my vocal cords, which is my weak spot, folks, and it's always going to be. I'll explain why for those of you who don't know. I have mentioned this in another podcast, but I'll quickly mention it again in a second. But the reason I knew that my body was doing what it should do is because I am now so well reconnected to it. Whereas in the past, I was very disconnected from it. But my body was letting me know very, very clearly that it was fighting off a virus. Why? Because I've got a very small lump underneath my armpit on Monday of last week. And my first thought went to, okay, is that potentially an ingrowing hair? It can be. Sometimes you get a little lump, and yes, I do shave as opposed to waxing underneath my arm, so I kind of didn't think a great deal of it until the following day, when not only was it very obviously red and quite angry, but it was a distinct lump. And so immediately my brain went, okay, I'm obviously fighting a virus, because lymph nodes are under your armpits. They're also in your groin as well. And so my body was letting me know that by the end of Tuesday, I could feel that there was another lump a little bit higher up and a little bit further to the right. And of course, I had to go and have a look. And yes, it was red as well. So this is very, very clearly what is going on. My body was literally all immune system. Let's hit whatever it is that is going to hit her throat, head, nose, whatever, and hit it hard. And then so it's a real clear sign that my body was doing exactly what it is designed to do, to get rid of the virus, the pathogen, the unknown enemy, if you like, and eliminate it. And so for me, the most important thing I could do was recognize that and make sure that I was doing everything possible to help my immune system to work well. And so what did that look like in terms of practical things? Well, it meant that I upped my vitamin C. It meant that, thankfully, cherry season is here. So natural resveratrol and vitamin C from cherries were definitely included in my diet, but also drinking more fluid, getting in some more green tea, which is always something that helps me to feel more soothed, and it definitely helps my throat, as opposed to just drinking water or just drinking or coffee, which I do. I do still like my coffee, that I'm not supposed to be drinking very much of it. Having Hashimoto's, it doesn't kind of go very well with it. So making sure that I change what I was drinking, change what I was eating, but also cut right down on my exercise, cut right down on my training. Why? Because when my body is doing what it should to fight off an infection, the last thing I want to be doing is stressing it out with a full-on hardcore gym session. So I kept it very, very light. I did one session of literally steady state on the bike. I did some yoga. I did some Pilates, and that was pretty much, and taught my Pilates classes on the Friday. And that was pretty much it. I think I went in the gym for a session, but I chopped it in half. I did 12 minutes instead of 24 minutes. And I could tell that my body was just going, yeah, no, had enough. And I'm very happy now to stop and to listen to it, because I no longer have these crazy voices in my head telling me that a workout has to look like this, or I should just push through. Now, the worst thing that I could have done would have been to have pushed through, because I wouldn't be able to probably speak. I wouldn't be able to record this podcast if I'd have kept doing what I was doing, for example, the week before or the week before that. And this is where we've got to recognize that our body is not out to get us. And so for people who feel that they are trying to shift and change their body, whether it is to lose weight because you want to do it to feel better in yourself and that's it, or whether you have an eating disorder and you have gotten caught up in trying to exercise to compensate for what you think is overeating, or you're trying to manage binge eating through exercise, or restricting because you think that you can starve yourself into creating the body shape that you would like, and therefore you'll like yourself more. None of these things work, right? They are all ideas that our head gives us. But the reality is that is not how it works. And your body is always going to win. What do I mean by that? Well, if you are restricting, there is going to become a point where you are going to feel compelled to eat. Now, is that very much dependent on where you're at with your restriction? Yes. If we're talking about somebody with anorexia, they are going to be compelled to eat a little bit more than perhaps they had decided they were going to allow themselves. Would they class that as overeating in a binge? Yes, they would. Would a normal person? No, probably not. Same with somebody who has emotional eating or binge eating disorder. Again, it comes down to degrees. It comes down to dose, if you like. What one person classes as a binge, maybe somebody else's just very normal meal. But it depends where you are on that spectrum of disordered eating or eating disorder. And so oftentimes, the more you restrict, the more you're going to boomerang into feeling that you want to overeat. And whether that is overeating because you now ate 5 strawberries instead of 2, or whether it is literally diving into cakes and biscuits and pizzas and all of that stuff. It very much depends on where you are and what is your pattern. My point is, if you are not giving your body and your brain what it requires to function optimally, it is going to try its hardest to make sure that by hook or by crook, somehow, it's going to make you. Okay. And that is going to be that perhaps it's going to stop you from exercising. Perhaps it is going to say, hey, slow down. I'm going to give you a virus, or I'm going to give you a really bad flu, or I'm going to give you an injury that is going to stop you from doing what you have been doing. Now, working with a number of clients who think that you get a badge of honor for pushing through pain and carrying on regardless and ignoring your body, this is where oftentimes things can get serious, because we end up having some proper biological and physiological issues going on. There are things like leaky gut, which causes all kinds of hormone disruption, which then can affect periods, which can affect our mood, which can affect our ability to regulate our emotions. Things like allowing ourselves or not allowing ourselves to rest after a workout, telling ourselves that we have to keep going, judging who we are by how many hours of study we put in, and patting ourselves on the back if we do 8 hours straight without a break, when actually your body and your brain are going to make you compensate for that somewhere down the line. Right. And that will either be that they'll throw a virus at you so that you can't do any work for 48 hours, or they will make it so that you are struggling to focus by giving you a migraine or a headache. My point is, your body is going to win. And so when people say, oh, it's not fair, I was doing so well and then this happened, or oh, it's not fair, I was on track with this and then this happened, well, it's usually because you were not listening to what your body was trying to tell you. The body is an amazing thing. And when I talk the body, the brain is inside your body. You've heard me say this, it's not separate. And when it's not getting what it needs, it will talk to us. It will tell us, hey, something isn't right. You need to take notice. Now, unfortunately, we often decide that we're not going to listen to it because. And our because reasons, our justifications often seem very, very valid. And I'm not going to poo-poo that there are not many reasons why we do have to just keep going regardless. Right? If you are, for example, a new mom, you'll know this very well, right? You have a newborn baby, and let's say you have a toddler as well. If you have had 2 or 3 hours sleep because you are feeding throughout the night at regular intervals, and then you've got to get up and deal with the toddler, and maybe the toddler is going to kindergarten or nursery school, and perhaps you are going back to work, then all of a sudden you are going to have to push through feeling exhausted at times. On the other side of things, perhaps you are somebody who is working full time for somebody else, and somehow you're having to juggle looking after elderly parents and fitting in doctor's appointments or going to A&E because you can't get in to see the doctor. And all of these things are going to affect how our body and our brain are working. And they let us know. And this is why looking after ourselves in terms of learning to listen to what our body wants and needs is not selfish. So many people with eating disorders or disordered eating or any kind of body dysmorphia genuinely speak and think about their body with hatred and with loathing. And you cannot hate yourself happy. You cannot loathe yourself into looking and feeling lovable to somebody else. You have got to learn to understand what your body is telling you that it needs and honor it. Because the irony is, the more you look after your body, the more likely you are to get the results that you have been trying so hard to hate and punish and deprive it to get, because it just doesn't work that way. One of the things that I feel so passionate about helping people to do is to connect back to what their body is actually saying to them. And if we get into patterns, and so many people do, of deciding that I'm somebody who never eats breakfast because I am somebody who always overeats in the evening because, you can change both of those things. You know why and how? Well, start to eat breakfast and then you won't feel the need to keep on overeating in the evening. When you regularly eat food spaced out throughout the day, your body starts to work in a rhythm that works with you as opposed to against you. If you are consistently depriving your body of the nutrients that it needs because you are busy calorie counting and perhaps deciding that you are scared of starchy carbs in the mistaken belief that carbs make you fat, then you're probably going to sleep poorly, because food is information. Food is nutrients. Food is the foundation and the building blocks of every single cell. And we are cells. Well, we're bacteria and cells. And I suppose, if you like, bacteria are cells. So we're pretty much just cells. And cells are made up of nutrients. And we can only get those nutrients from the food that we put into our body. I didn't design it that way, but it is the way that it is. And if we are consistently working against our body, if we're not giving it enough of the nutrients that it needs to function well, do you know what? It is amazing. It is going to do its darndest to somehow keep on going until it can't anymore. And then it's going to let you know. And rather than you falling out with it when you get an illness, or if you tweak or strain a muscle or a tendon, or if you have a broken bone, or if you get a headache, or you've got suddenly a strange pain in your neck or your shoulder or your lower back, then take note, because your body is telling you something is not right. Something is out of alignment. Take notice. You need to stop doing what you are doing, and you need to look to change it somehow. Now, this is where I come in. This is where I help people to actually learn what is the body trying to tell you, because most of us genuinely are so disconnected from it, we don't actually know. And that's not our fault, right? It comes down to we don't necessarily have parents or grandparents who were perhaps as in touch with their bodies as they could be. It seems crazy, doesn't it, in 2025, that we are talking about menopause like it's something new almost. And it's like, well, women have been around for like forever. So therefore menopause has been a thing forever. So why is it that in the last particularly 10 to 20 years or so, people seem to be struggling with it so much more? Well, it's a number of reasons. We're living in an environment now that is so different to the environment that we humans evolved in. And our bodies haven't changed particularly in their needs over time. But we have definitely changed what we are giving our bodies and ourselves in terms of the quality of the food, the quality of the air, the quality of the water. All of that is affecting our cellular function and our metabolic health. And these are all of the things that are a massive part of why we have got this pandemic, if you like, of mental health issues and physical health issues and Alzheimer's, and so many more people with type 2 diabetes and cancers and all this kind of stuff. We can put blinkers on and we can pretend it's not happening. But the truth is, it absolutely is. When we look at our world now and the illnesses that we are dealing with and the issues that are basically making, in the UK anyway, our healthcare system buckle, it's because of the fact that we are not in tune with our bodies and we're not giving them what they want. Because why? We're so focused on the external stuff. We're so focused on how do I look on social media, or what will other people think of me, or I need to be a certain size or be a certain weight to be acceptable and to therefore feel worthy. And realistically, without your health, none of that stuff really matters. The amount of money you've got in the bank, it doesn't matter. The car that's parked in your driveway doesn't matter, because if you're stuck in your bed and you can't move, it's kind of a bit pointless, isn't it? So many people have recognized in the last few years, particularly with the COVID issue, that, you know, without your health, what have you actually got? And yet we forget, when we're feeling well, how important our health is. As a human health optimizer, it is my job to help you to recognize that your mental and physical health go hand in hand. It's like a fine orchestra. Your brain and your body are talking to each other consistently all of the time. Yes, even when you are asleep. And they are letting all of the systems know and all of the organs know, and every single bit of you is in communication with all of the other bits, so that there can be a coherent message that says, hey, she ain't listening, or he ain't listening, right? We keep telling her to slow down. We keep telling him to stop exercising so hard. We keep telling her that she needs to work on letting go of outcomes and letting other people solve their own problems instead of trying to solve the world's problems herself. She ain't listening, so let's make her. Let's make him. You know what? Let's give them this illness. Let's make them have an accident so that they are forced to stop and take stock. And that is what I have done. I have done exactly that over the last couple of days. Looking at some of the things that I know have been preying on my mind that I've been telling myself I haven't got time to deal with. Well, hey ho, guess what? You know what? My body and my brain got together and they said, we're going to make you have the time, lady. We're going to give you a virus so that you can stop, because we're going to make it that you don't really want to do much. You could pretend it's depression. You could kid yourself that you're depressed, or you could actually be honest and go, actually, no, it's a virus. And being ill, by the way, folks, does make you feel low in mood, and it does make you feel like you really don't want to do anything and your motivation is through the floor, and that is normal. That is not you suddenly getting a bout of depression. That is just being ill with a virus, and it will get better as long as you don't dwell on it and tell yourself a different story. But what I did do is actually I looked at what were the things that were coming up for me. And honestly, it was lack. I was feeling in a place of lack, and I have for a little while. And the truth is, I was telling myself stories. And so I'm going to kind of read out some of the things that I recognized is that I've been telling myself that this year I really need to work on getting more opportunities. But the truth is, what I need to work on is being more disciplined, because opportunities only happen if you put the work in. Okay, that's as simple as that. Okay, I was also telling myself that I needed more resources. I needed more ways of helping clients find me and want to work with me. That's not what I need. What I need is a better strategy. I was also looking at the fact that, you know what, I need to be more patient when it comes to tech, because I was telling myself, I don't have time to work this stuff out and blah, blah. No, I just get really impatient with tech stuff that I don't understand. And so I need to be more patient. And these are all of the things that, because I keep telling myself that I'm lacking one thing, I was kind of covering up what was really going on. So I was telling myself I need to be more ambitious. I need to set my sights higher. And the truth is, what I really need is consistently and commitment to actually helping more people on a daily basis. And these things all go together. I was struggling to have a vision of what do I actually want. And it's not that I can't visualize what I want. I just need to get absolute clarity on what is my message, who I can help, and why. Why is it so important to me that people have optimal health? Well, that's never changed, but I need to shout about it louder. And for those of you who don't know what my mission is, case in point, because if you don't know what my mission is, then it's obvious that I'm not shouting about it loud enough. And I don't need more new ideas. I just need to be taking more action. So what I really kind of surmised from all this is that I have been able to have a couple of days and recognize that I need to be more disciplined, more committed, get clarity on my message, and be really, really patient and focus on what it is that I want to actually get across to people so that I can help more people have incredible health. Because we do not have to accept that this is it now. Right? This is as best as it gets, whether you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. If you have been struggling with eating disorders or alcohol or gambling issues or body dysmorphia, or you're taking cocaine to cope, or you know that you are addicted to cannabis and you don't think that you can do anything about it, but you want to, now is the time, I believe, to actually really sit down, take a while to just be honest and ask yourself, really, what is it that is holding me back from doing the stuff that I know is going to help me? What is stopping me from getting help to actually implement the things that I know I need to do, but I can't do on my own? Because that's most people, right? If we are held accountable, it's much easier to do stuff. Fact, right? Me included. None of us are great at holding ourselves accountable. Yes, there is a small few who can do it, but the majority of us, we need somebody to hold us accountable, not to judge us, not to belittle us, not to tell us off if we're not perfect, but to just hold us accountable and to help to champion us when we are doing well, because that's equally as important. I need that. I have a coach, right? I coach people and I mentor people, but we all need somebody who is going to do that for us. I genuinely believe that if everybody had a coach, we would all be able to feel and function so much better. Your body is not out to get you. Your body is not trying to make you miserable. Your body is doing its darndest to try and work well in spite of what you may be doing to it, because it wants to stay alive and it wants you to thrive. And the only way you can do that is to start giving it what it needs. Treat it with compassion, treat it with kindness. Recognize that by being consistent and committed to creating the health that you want, then all of the other stuff that you think you can never have, the confidence, the feeling good enough, that will happen. But the more you go against your body, the more you try to punish it, to deprive it, to restrict it, to overwork it, the less likely you are ever going to be happy with it and therefore with yourself, because you and your body are one. And yes, it is important that you feel good in the skin that you're in, but ultimately it's about the person inside the body. And the body is there to help you to feel and function well. It is not set out to make you feel bad about yourself. Only you can do that with your mindset, with your thoughts. The beauty is you can reprogram no matter what age, no matter what stage of life you're in. It is never too late to create optimum health for you. Now, I'm offering an audit at the moment on your personal health. If you would like to take me up on that, then all you need to do is look in the description below if you are on YouTube, or look in the show notes if you're watching on Apple. There is a clickable link there and it will take you straight to that audit, and you send it to me. Yes, it's free. You're going to have to give me a little bit of time to go through it, but I will send you a report of exactly where you're at. And then you can decide whether you're going to do anything with that information or not. That is entirely up to you. But what I can tell you is this: when you start to tune in to your body, when you start to honor it, when you start to give it what it needs, when you start to be consistent, when you start taking action and learning that, yes, things may feel uncomfortable, but it's okay. Yes, your emotions may feel a bit overwhelming at times, but it's okay. When you start to recognize that your body and your brain are here to help you to feel good and to thrive, I promise you, you'd be amazed at what's possible. And I'm going to leave you with the usual, folks. We only have one life as far as we know, and one body. Please do look after it, because it is looking after you. Do hit that like button, do subscribe if you haven't done already, and do grab yourself that audit if you would like it. There is also a link there you may see that if you are a business person and you're just wondering, actually, my health seems to be okay, but my business is the issue, and you would like me to do a business and wealth check, guess what? There's a link for that as well. Have a great day. Have a great week. Thank you for listening. Take care.